She didn't kill him quickly. She did it slowly. Over the course of 3 years, she poisoned her husband with small amounts of arsenic mixed into his coffee, his food, his supplements. Nobody suspected a thing. Everyone thought he was just getting sick from age and stress. But she knew exactly what she was doing. And when he finally died, she inherited his $2 million house. This is the story of how one woman orchestrated the perfect crime. Or at least she thought it was perfect. Her name was Victoria. She was 38 years old and married to Richard for 12 years. Richard was a successful real estate developer. He owned properties all across the city. His net worth was somewhere around $5 million. But Victoria saw only one thing when she looked at him. She saw the $2 million mansion they lived in. The house on the hill with the marble floors and the imported chandeliers. The house with the infinity pool overlooking the valley. That was the house Victoria wanted. Not the marriage. Not the man. Just the house. Richard wasn't a bad husband. He was distant, sure. He worked long hours and rarely spent time with her. He had his own office on the second floor where he stayed until late at night. But he wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive. He just didn't love her anymore. And Victoria hadn't loved him for years. But she stayed. She stayed because of the house. She stayed because the prenuptial agreement meant that if she left him, she would get nothing. $0. 0 assets. She would walk away with whatever she came with when they got married, which was barely anything. So she made a different choice. She decided to make him disappear. Permanently. Victoria started by researching. She spent months in dark corners of the internet, looking for information about poisons that wouldn't be detected. Arsenic was perfect. It was colorless, tasteless, and odorless. When added to food or drink in small amounts, it created symptoms that looked like normal illness. Nausea, fatigue, stomach pain, weakness. Doctors would assume it was gastroenteritis or stress, or age-related illness. They would never suspect poisoning. She found a supplier online through cryptocurrency. She paid $3,000 for a vial of pure arsenic powder. It arrived in a small glass container hidden inside a battery pack. She kept it locked in a safe in her closet behind her winter clothes. Nobody ever found it. Then she started her plan. Every morning, she would add just a tiny amount to his orange juice. A few grains of powder mixed with the pulp. Invisible. Undetectable. At first, nothing happened. Richard drank his juice and went to work like normal. But after 2 weeks, he started feeling sick. Stomach problems, he said. Food poisoning, maybe. He went to the doctor. They ran tests. Nothing. They told him to drink more water and eat more fiber. Victoria continued. She added arsenic to his coffee, to his protein shakes, to the vitamins he took every morning. She was careful. Never too much. Just enough to make him slowly sick. And slowly dying. After 6 months, Richard lost 20 pounds. His hair started falling out. He had constant nausea. He went to multiple doctors. They ran more tests. They suspected cancer. They suspected Crohn's disease. They suspected his stress at work was making him sick. But they never suspected poisoning. Because who poisons their husband? Who does that? By the end of the first year, Richard was spending most of his time in bed. He was weak. He could barely eat. He had lost 50 pounds. He looked like a skeleton. Victoria played the worried wife perfectly. She brought him tea in bed. She sat by his side. She held his hand. All the while adding arsenic to every drink, every meal. A specialist finally ran a toxicology test. It was one doctor who was thorough and suspicious. And the results came back positive for arsenic. High levels of arsenic in Richard's system. Arsenic poisoning. The doctor immediately reported it to the police. Victoria was arrested. It was the end of year 2 of her poisoning campaign. Richard was still alive, but barely. He was hospitalized. He recovered slowly over the next 3 months with medical treatment that removed the arsenic from his system. But he never fully recovered. The damage to his organs was permanent. His kidneys were damaged. His liver was damaged. His nervous system was compromised. Victoria was charged with attempted murder. Not murder, because Richard had survived. She faced 25 years in prison. In the trial, she admitted everything. She told the court exactly what she did. She explained how she poisoned him. Why she did it. The jury was horrified. The judge was furious. She was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in state prison. Richard divorced her while she was in prison. He gave the house to his daughter from his first marriage. Victoria received nothing. No money. No assets. No house. She went to prison with absolutely nothing. She is now serving her 25-year sentence in a maximum security prison. She shares a cell with 2 other inmates. Her days are identical. Wake up at 6 a.m. Breakfast in the cafeteria. Work detail in the laundry. Lunch. Recreation time in the yard. Dinner. Back to her cell. Lights out at 9 p.m. She is now 46 years old. If she serves the full sentence, she will be 71 years old when she is released. She will have spent nearly 25 years behind bars for a house she never even got to keep. Richard lived. He recovered enough to live a relatively normal life. He still owns multiple properties. His net worth is still $5 million. The house that Victoria wanted so badly is now owned by his daughter. Victoria will never set foot in it again. Other inmates in the prison know what Victoria did. They know she poisoned her husband. She is not popular. Other people who have committed crimes have a code. But attempted murder of a spouse over property, that crosses a line. So Victoria spends her time alone mostly. She reads books. She writes letters that nobody answers. She wonders why she made the choices she made. In interviews that she has given since going to prison, Victoria says she regrets everything. She says she doesn't know why she thought poisoning her husband was the answer. She says she could have just left him. She could have taken half of his assets in a divorce settlement. She would have been a millionaire. But instead, she got greedy. She wanted everything. And she got nothing. This story teaches us something important about greed. About desperation. About what people will do when they think they can get away with something. Victoria thought she was smarter than everyone else. She thought she could poison her husband without anyone noticing. She thought she could inherit his fortune and live happily. She thought she had the perfect plan. But she didn't. And the person who paid the price was not just Richard. It was Victoria. She got 25 years in prison. She got to watch someone else inherit the house. She got to lose everything. There is a truth that people sometimes forget. And that truth is that the perfect crime doesn't exist. Someone always notices. Something always goes wrong. There is always evidence. There is always a trail. And the people who think they are so clever that they can get away with murder, they almost never do. Victoria could have had a comfortable life. She could have divorced Richard and been wealthy. She could have found love with someone else. She could have built a happy life. But she chose poison instead of patience. She chose arsenic instead of asking for a divorce. And now she will spend her entire life paying for that choice. The house she wanted so badly. The $2 million mansion on the hill with the marble floors and the imported chandeliers. The house with the infinity pool overlooking the valley. That house belongs to someone else now. And Victoria is locked in a prison cell. She traded her freedom for greed. And she lost. That is the price of trying to poison your way to happiness.